Next up, we have Phillip Allen of PIMFA, the Personal Investment Management and Financial Association. PIMFA was born out of the amalgamation of two UK associations, Wealth Management and the Association of Professional Advisors. And PIMFA works with a range of organisations in the UK, including the House of Commons, Treasury Select Committee, Bank of England, HM Treasury and Revenue and Customs, London Stock Exchange, and other major world indices, amongst other firms. It's a trade association for firms that provide investment management, financial services, and it's creating an operating environment to help firms deliver the best service to their clients, providing responsible stewardship for their long-term savings and investments. Philip, over to you.
Thanks very much, Ebra. Delighted to be here. Thank you very much, Julia, and also to Tony. That was really insightful as well. I've got a few questions of my own to ask you afterwards as well. So great stuff. And yeah, I managed to grab hold of some of the discussions on impact, which were very insightful and very thoughtful there. So delighted that to be welcomed here and also to participate in the penultimate session of this event. And yeah, if you could just have the slides up, that would be fantastic. And we'll just go through those. We won't need to occupy too much of your time here, because I think that for many of you, you may have heard of what we're trying to achieve alongside colleagues yours in Julia Dreblow, who is the program lead of the ESG Academy. But it might be for those who haven't heard about what we are doing and what we have launched in the last month or so, just an understanding of what we think is an appropriate opportunity for organizations and individuals like yourself to participate in. I'm Phillip Allen. I'm the head of learning at PIMFA, and my role and responsibility at PIMFA is to design and to deliver products and services, learning products and services that aim to address some of the gaps, knowledge gaps or understandings that our individual members and also our employees of our individual member firms have. And so if we could just go back to the first slide there, I think it's skipped ahead. Thanks indeed, Chris. So we created the ESG Academy really out of response to a lot of demand from individual advisors who are saying, you know what, on a scale of 1 to 5, when I'm asked a question on ESG, I reckon I'm around about 2.5. And I was talking to one chief investment officer of an organization. He said, look, imagine if we could get everybody up to at least a 3. That would be great. That would keep me, that would save me from waking up at night with nightmares. But if we could do that, that would be good. And that was born out of those types of comments and those types of discussions really generated the idea of an ESG Academy. So next slide, please. That'd be great. And I think this is emphasized in some of the stats that you have seen, I have seen across the press for the last 12 months or so. Just a couple of stats there, 42% of advisors stating that they didn't really know about upcoming regulatory change. Obviously, taxonomy is another issue which they felt uncomfortable with, and 43% saying, look, that they would really benefit from a sort of education and learning. And so out of this, we really wanted to help. So next slide, please. That'd be great. Thank you, Chris. So how do we help advisors? Well, we created a self-paced online course, which is absolutely free of charge to financial advisors, that helps address these 6 common issues that we felt that advisors were struggling with. Now, this is not all the issues, but we felt that it was appropriate to actually address some of those. And, you know, top left being one of them, I'm debunking the alphabet soup that is ESG myths, and obviously making sure that we had a robust curriculum that was evergreen in content, which means to say that given the shifting landscapes and the escalation in regulatory intervention and compliance expectations, we felt that we needed a curriculum that was always continually being improved and had to be updated. So it's quite, I would say, you know, normal and natural for individuals to go into the academy in 1 week and actually have slightly different experience or learning experience the following month or the following couple of months, simply because we're updating that with content from our providers and our supporters. in the form of our associate members who provide the content there. But we wanted this academy to be slightly different because we know and recognize that Oxford University, CFA Institute, and other organizations do fantastic stuff with their qualifications and also their educational provision for ESG. But we wanted to actually make sure, and this is the critical point here, was that we wanted to ensure that individuals were able to have more effective conversations with their clients at the end of their learning experience. So it wasn't just an educational understanding, or what we call in learning underpinning knowledge, that we wanted to have. We wanted to ensure that they have at least the understanding, the confidence and the competence to be able to have more effective client conversations. And that was critical in A, what we put into the academy, and B, in terms of, how we delivered it. So it had to be engaging, it had to be through podcasts, it had to be through webinars, it had to be through downloadable worksheets that you could literally cut out and keep, and through infographics. Next slide, please. So, many of the people ask me, what was the perception? What is the perception of some individuals? And I think that, still we have the perception that, you're with the Greta crew or the tree huggers crew, and you're with people who think that this is just another red tape experience that is going to come and tangle us up in more issues and more challenges that we don't really understand. But I think that obviously participation in today's learning and conference experience would actually challenge those paradigms. And I'm grateful for people like Julia, who's actually pushed the envelope for many, many years on this sort of stuff. And so if we could just move to the next slide, please, there. It keeps them twitching. It's got a nervous twitch, this slide deck. And so the Academy has the objective of achieving three things through three different modules. The first module is, as you can see here, the fundamentals of the ESG, where we debug and challenge some of the myths here. We want to really nail down what does ESG mean and what doesn't it mean. And that's critical for individuals to be able to have that level playing field. We also want to actually understand the regulatory expectation and what that looks like as we see it now. Obviously, we know that's going to morph and we know that's going to change in the next couple of months. So what we will do is that we'll track that regulatory calendar so that we can ensure that the learners that we have actually are well informed and they're not searching around YouTube or other sites necessarily, but they can actually put it into one area so they can get up-to-date advice and suggestion and guidance in that place. We also think it's important in module 2 to actually look at data. Data is critical. We talked about that. And in data we trust, it's the ability of the advisor to an extent to be able to discern and understand what the data means and not just take it as gospel that this is what it says. I like what Julia said in the last session. You've got to look under the bonnet. And then the third one is talking with clients. How do you have effective conversations? So what does that mean? How do you start a conversation? How do you continue a conversation? How do you overcome those objectives, objections that clients will quite rightly have against that? So if you move to the next slide, please, Chris. And what's the end game of the Academy? Well, it's a self-paced online learning, which will take around about, if you did it from end to end, around about 3 to 5 hours and I think that we have pulsed it deliberately and intentionally, that it's on a drip feed schedule so that you don't just binge it. It's not a Netflix box set of learning and you tick that box. We don't really want that to happen, but we'd also understand that some of these clearly defined objectives that you see here are achieved, and that we want you to have some outcomes which absolutely have benefits to both your organization, you yourself, and also, more importantly, your clients as well. And we feel that we have actually tried to address these in some shape or form over the 3 modules that we're delivering. So who's delivering it to you? So we'll see that on the next slide, please. And yes, we've got a great team of people who are participating and expert contributors. Obviously, Julia is our course leader there, but we've got participation and contributions from Dan Kemp, CIO at Morningstar, Mark Carney, my colleague Des Fitzgerald, who leads ESG at PIMFA, Anna Giorgio, head of advisor solutions at Morningstar, and Cleona Lira, plus a number of other financial planners and financial advisors who are supporting this. This has to be practical, it has to be relevant, and it has to be topical. And I think that critically, in this time. I think that people, certainly our members, are wanting something that they can actually learn today and actually perhaps execute today, later that day, and tomorrow. Next slide, please. So how do we judge whether you've passed or are competent in this? Well, each of the modules have an end of module assessment, which you have to undertake, and it's a very simple exercise, smattered with a sprinkling of knowledge tests against each modules. And once that's done, you can complete assignments at the end of each of the modules, and then participate and contribute to the discussion forums. Remember, this is self-paced learning. We're not asking people to take, hundreds of hours out of their diary. And I think that this course is a really great springboard for those of you who are interested in the very popular CFA Institute course, which we definitely recommend, and which we definitely put forward as a really good course to give you that underpinning knowledge there. And, we've had great success with this course. We had 185 students enroll on the first day when we launched it on September the 15th of last month. And we're looking at actually duplicating this for wealth managers as well, because we think that that's, again, another opportunity for people to dig down and deeper into a few more topics that they have raised as important to themselves as wealth managers. So if you're interested, pimfa.co.uk, you'll be able to search for ESG Academy on the website, have a look, register your interest there. It's totally free, and give us some feedback about your learning experience. Thank you very much.